If you ever feel out of control around food, you're not alone, and you're in the right place to learn practical, no-nonsense information about why you binge and how to stop. Binge eating does not mean that something is wrong with you. It's a natural but primitive brain response that you can correct. If you're ready for change, sign up for the Brain Over Binge self-paced online course for less than $20 per month. And if you feel you need personalized support, we also offer one-on-one coaching and group coaching. To learn more, go to brainoverbinge.com/subscribe. And I hope you enjoy the show. Welcome to the Brain Over Binge podcast, where you learn a simple, brain-based approach to ending binge eating. I'm your host, Kathryn Hansen, and I'm happy to be back with you for another episode. This episode is going to help you if you feel like you don't have the desire for recovery that you believe you should, or you feel like you can't imagine your life without binge eating being a part of it, or you're having trouble envisioning yourself as a binge-free person. The goal of today's show is to help you get started with wanting or desiring a life that does not include binging. I have Julie Mann, our amazing Brain Over Binge coach, back on the podcast today to talk about this issue with me and to give you some ideas and insights to help you toward wanting to become that binge-free version of yourself. Welcome back to the show, Julie.
Hi, Kathryn. So happy to be back with you.
Yes, I'm so glad to have you back, and I know this episode is going to be really useful for people. It ties into what we talked about the last time you were here when we shared all of the wonderful benefits of recovery. Back in May and early June, Julie and I discussed in 2 episodes how ending harmful food habits allows you to regain your time, your mental clarity, your physical energy, and how recovery also helps you in terms of your relationships and your finances. These episodes are titled Recovery from Binge Eating Means Regaining Your Life, Part 1 and Part 2. And I've put those 2 episodes in the show description because it's extremely motivating to think about all of the ways that stopping binge eating will change your life for the better. However, we also understand that sometimes when you're stuck in the pain of the binge eating habit, it can be very difficult to get started in even imagining the possibility of recovery and the possibility of experiencing those positive changes. It's definitely important to see that stopping binging will bring you benefits, but those benefits may feel so far off or so distant to you right now. You may not feel like you can even fathom a life without a struggle with food. You may feel like you can't see past your current situation to even start wanting other things in your life. Or you may sometimes be able to visualize the good that will come out of recovery, and you may feel excited about that, but then at other times you may feel like you don't want anything but binging. Julie is going to share some very helpful ideas about how to start building desire for things in your life that are not related to food, and also about how to stop desiring the binge eating itself. But first, I want to give you a little context for what Julie will talk about. Julie and I are currently finishing up a summer support group that we led together, and Julie recently taught an amazing lesson on one of the group's Zoom calls, and this lesson was about reframing desire, about how you can actually create feelings of desire for what you truly want in your life, and how you can extinguish your desire for the things that harm you. I think this lesson was so important and helpful to group members that I wanted her to share the basics on the podcast today. Now, since I've mentioned the summer support group that is coming to an end, I do want to say quickly that there is another opportunity for group coaching starting on September 1st. Julie is going to be leading the group and coaching the members on live Zoom calls, as well as teaching more lessons on these calls, and these lessons are related to a variety of recovery topics. There will also be a forum where you can get support from other members and written coaching from Julie. Registration is now open for this, and you can learn more on brainoverbinge.com/group. So getting back to the topic of learning to desire a life free of binge eating, it's possible that right now you think you're going to always feel like you want to binge. You may feel like the best you can do is resist that desire, but that's simply not true. You can get to a place where you no longer want binge eating at all, and you want so much more for yourself. Julie is going to tell you more about that and explain how you can start shifting your mindset so that you can start wanting that binge-free life.
Thanks, Kathryn. What I'd love to talk about today is the idea of generating desire on purpose for life. Because for decades, I was generating desire for food and for binging. I would spend so much time fantasizing about the food, almost having foreplay in my mind with the food, I would see pictures of it in my mind. I would think about how I would get the food and how it would taste. And then I would eat it and be miserable and spend the rest of my time figuring out how to fix whatever I thought needed fixing. As I learned how to expect and allow urges, what was key for me was understanding that urges are just a feeling of over desire in my body, and that I was creating that desire with my thoughts, the images in my mind, and how I gave my brain space to that focus. Once I realized this, it dawned on me that I could generate desire for anything. Think about that new relationship when all you can think about is your partner and you spend your day fantasizing about time with him or her. You are generating desire. Or think about a vacation that is coming up and how you might look at photos of the places, tell everyone about the upcoming trip, and imagine yourself hiking or swimming or skiing or whatever you do while you're on your trip. You are generating desire. I would love it if everyone listening could think right now about areas in life where you have generated desire on purpose. Maybe it was for the career you are in. Maybe it was for a garden you designed. Maybe it was for the family you've created or the home you live in. Look at all the ways you generated desire on purpose for these things. Did you talk about it a lot? Did you look at photos, do research, train? You were generating desire. I love to teach my clients that a huge and fun part of recovery is to generate desire for life. It's time to start daydreaming about all the things that you really enjoy in life, as in things that give you true pleasure while you're thinking about it, while you do it, and after it's done. I'd also love for everyone listening to think right now about what those true pleasures are for you. For me, it's hugs from my daughter and conversations with her about what's going on in her life. It's also about reading great novels, looking at the view of Manhattan from my apartment window as the sun sets. I also love taking photos of flowers up close and then sharing them with people I love. And what's amazing about these things is that even talking about them now gives me a hit of pleasure. Not the numbing out kind of hit from a binge, but the kind of gentle and heart-nourishing pleasure that leaves no net negative consequence. So again, to everyone listening, here are some great questions to consider. If this moment isn't about food, what do you want it to be about? What areas of your life would you like to generate desire on purpose for? What do you desire way more than food? What is your bigger and truer want? I think it's so exciting to know that you can create desire for life and what you want for yourself on purpose. Because over time, this actually becomes your true want. And I'm just going to remind everyone, as I always say, it's a practice. It's something you create by doing it and seeing what's working and what's not working. So even if right now you think there's nothing I want more than food, just give it a try. Because the more desire you generate for life, the more that desire becomes what you truly crave.
Yeah, I totally agree. And the more that you're generating a desire for life on purpose, the less your brain is focusing on binging. And then the less your brain is focusing on binging, the weaker that binge eating habit becomes. And like you said, it's a practice. You can train yourself to start focusing on your life instead of on food. You may not know exactly what you want in your life right now or the things that you like that have nothing to do with eating, but the more you practice this, the more you will discover things that make you who you are and that make your life meaningful. As you practice building desire for life, know that because the binge eating habit is currently wired into your brain, if you're still binging, your thoughts will automatically try to pull you back toward focusing on food and binge eating and weight. However, I want you to realize that this is not an unavoidable force. This is only the temporary tendency of your brain, and it's optional for you to follow those habitual thoughts. You can start redirecting your attention whenever you can, and the more you redirect your thoughts away from food and onto other things in your life, the more your brain will build new habits, and you'll start naturally thinking about other things more often without having to consciously shift your attention. This relates to something I talked about often in my second book, The Brain Over Binge Recovery Guide. In that book, I frequently remind the reader that they don't need everything in the book and that they should get the information they need about the topics that relate to their situation and apply that information, and then put the book down and get back to living their life. This goes for any resource that I offer, the podcast, my self-paced course, the one-on-one coaching that Julie offers, and the group coaching as well. The goal is not to endlessly seek recovery information and over-focus on the eating issues. The point of ending these harmful habits is so that you can get your life back and get on with doing the things that you want to do. Now, everyone ends binge eating on a different timeline, and you definitely do not have to wait until you've fully stopped your harmful eating habits to start focusing on the rest of your life. You can start practicing focusing on your life right now, even if you're just beginning in recovery. When you put your attention on your family, your relationships, your career, your hobbies, travel, your spirituality, your academic pursuits, or whatever else interests you, you're building connections in your brain that support those interests, and you're weakening connections in your brain that have kept you focused on food. Those of you who are regular listeners know that there are two goals in this brain over binge approach. The first goal is dismiss urges to binge, and the second goal is eat adequately. Someone very insightfully emailed me recently to say that I should add a third goal, and that third goal should be move on with your life. I absolutely love that suggestion, and it captures what we're talking about here. You can work on this goal of moving on with your life through the whole process of ending the binge eating habit. Every time you have an urge to binge and you dismiss it, you can move on with your life, turning your attention towards something else. Every time you eat a meal that is adequate and not restrictive, you can move on with your life. Again, shifting your focus away from food and onto another part of your day. You can keep repeating these three goals of dismissing urges, eating adequately, and moving on with your life over and over, many times a day if you need to, until all there is your life. Of course, eating will always be a part of your life, but it will have a proper place. If you feel really stuck right now in the habit and you feel like you don't have much to focus on in your life outside of binging, then just start small. You can do something like contact one friend, or read one page of a book that interests you, or focus on one thing in nature that you appreciate. It does not have to be much right now, but over time, your desire for life will start to grow, and your desire to binge will fade away. I encourage you to get whatever support you need as you learn to dismiss the urges, eat adequately, and move on with your life. The monthly group coaching opportunity that I mentioned earlier in the show can provide a powerful source of guidance and accountability as you learn to make these changes. Being part of a group can also help you with building that desire for recovery because you receive inspiration from others and from your coach. The group is open for registration, and Julie is going to be the coach of this group, so I want her to tell you more about it and how it can help you.
So first of all, I see everyone in the group as already free. I know it's absolutely possible for them, and I believe in their recovery even when they may not be there yet. So I always say, borrow my belief in you, because I always think about them in the future as if they're already that person now. Also, my style of coaching is very unique in that I combine my training as a life coach, school coach, a mindfulness facilitator, and an educator. What that means is that I offer my clients lessons and resources, guided meditations, mindset work, and very high-touch coaching to help them free themselves from binge eating disorder. The group program includes 3 coaching calls per month with me, a private forum directly on the group website where I provide coaching and group members can support each other, my lessons, mindfulness resources, and access to your amazing Brain Over Binge course. I know it's the kind of support I needed when I was trying to recover, and I'm eager to provide it to anyone out there ready for true transformation and true freedom. What is so powerful is that a shift in thinking can change your entire life. And I'm there celebrating with and for you every step of the way. The beauty of group coaching calls and the forum is that we all learn from each other's questions and we see that we aren't alone. Both the calls and the forum are a safe space to share wins, get support through challenges, tease out learning moments, and get direct coaching from me. Eating disorders love to hide, and healing happens in community. As you see that we all share this common struggle and that no one is broken or incapable of a full recovery at any age and any stage of the journey, the shadow lifts.
Thank you so much, Julie. I really appreciate you telling the listeners more about the group, and I appreciate you being here and helping people start wanting to live their life without the pain of binge eating. I know that any of the listeners who decide to join the group will find it extremely valuable and life-changing, especially because, Julie, you completely understand the struggle with food and how to overcome it. Again, registration is open for group coaching, and you can learn more and sign up at brainoverbinge.com/group. or in the show description. That's all for this episode. Thank you so much for listening today. I hope you take away something helpful from this discussion. As we end the show, I want to encourage you and remind you that you have the power to change your brain and live a binge-free life. The Brain Over Binge podcast is produced and recorded by Brain Over Binge Recovery Coaching, LLC. All work is copyrighted by Brain Over Binge Recovery Coaching, LLC, and all rights are reserved. As a disclaimer, the hosts of the Brain Over Binge podcast are not professional counselors or licensed healthcare providers, and this podcast is not a substitute for medical advice or any form of professional therapy. Eating disorders can have serious health consequences, and you are strongly advised to seek medical attention for matters relating to your health. Please get help when you need it, and good luck on your journey. Need more help? You can find all of our current and upcoming options for support at brainoverbinge.com.